Hello everybody. This is third session on impressive web designing. Let us start with the topic forms. Forms in HTML. Forms in HTML is used to accept the user input. The form in HTML is created by using form element as form and closing form tag. Basically, on internet we use various forms to give our information, to give our data. The data onto the internet, the user's data onto the internet is collected using forms. You visualize the website of Maharashtra State Board when you key in your seat number to find your result on the result day. The place where you type your seat number is nothing but a form. When you type your seat number, when you click on submit button, the seat number goes to Maharashtra State Board website. They verify your seat number and accordingly result is displayed you back. So how do they collect your seat number? It is through forms. Hence, forms in HTML are used to accept the user input. There are various form controls to do this. A form is a collection of different elements, also called as controls. They are text box, radio button, checkbox, submit, and many more. So all these form controls will be looking at, and also we will look at the importance of each form control. Attributes used with form element. All these form controls are to be written in the form tag or form element. The attributes used along with form element are name, action, and method. Name, it specifies the name to a form. Any element, any form control regarding form has to be given a name so that it is identified which form element has what data. Action specifies the part where the form is to be submitted. What does action do? With the help of action, we need to specify a part where the form is to be submitted. When the user types in the data in a form controls, that data should go where? The place where it should go, that file name or that part is to be specified. When user clicks on submit button, there is a submit button at the end of every form. When user clicks on the submit button, then the data is submitted. And if action attribute is committed, the action is set to the current page. So action is used to specify the part where the form data is to be submitted. Third attribute of form tag, method. How the data is to be submitted. Specifies the two methods get and post to be used when submitting the form data. The method of submitting. There are two methods of submitting, get or post. Now what is post method? The post method of sending data does not display the form data in address bar. That means when you are submitting the form data, it does not submit it via URL. Get method submit it via URL. Post method do not submit it via URL. That is the address bar. So it is a secure method. Post method is a secure method to submit sensitive or personal information. And also it does not have the size limitation as in get method. Get method has a size limitation. A lengthy form cannot be submitted because URL, address bar itself has a limitation of 255 characters. So not more than 255 characters can be submitted via get method, whereas post method you can submit any kind of lengthy form data. Next, let us understand the form elements. The form elements like text, radio, checkbox, password can be shown with the help of input tag. The input tag is used to specify the different types of controls by using type attribute. There is a type attribute to input tag, and to a type attribute we specify the values like text, radio, checkbox, password. If input type equal text, then it creates a single line text box. If input type is equal to radio, then it creates a radio button. The radio button allows only one option to be selected against the multiple choices. Input type equal checkbox creates a checkbox. It allows more than one selection. The difference between radio button and checkbox. Radio button allows only single selection, whereas checkbox allows multiple selections. Input type equal password. It is similar to a text box, but what you type in a text box is not displayed. It displays asterisk or dot instead of the actual characters what you type in that text box. Then you have input type equals submit. There are three types of buttons what you can display. One is submit, one is reset, and third is a normal button. Submit button is used for submitting the data to the server. Reset button is to reset the form. If the user has typed something into form and that is to be cleared, then the reset button is used. Input type equal button. It is just a push button. It don't have any meaning, but you can write the meaning to it using the scripting languages. Next ahead, after HTML, we will be learning the scripting language, but so far this button in HTML do not have any meaning. The input type equal submit, input type equal reset, and input type equal button. These are the three types of buttons what you can create using input tag. So the values to the type attribute of input tag can be text, radio, checkbox, password, submit, reset, button. That was type. Other attributes of input. Apart from the type attribute, there are the attributes which are specific to a particular type controls. Apart from the type attribute, there are the attributes which are specific to a particular type attribute. Particular type attribute. That means if it is radio, then only a particular attribute can be used. Okay, let us see the different types of control and the purpose. First is type. It describes the name of a control like text, radio, etc. To specify what type of control it should be, we make a use of type attribute. Next, name. Each input field must have a name. Every form control, including form, should have a name so that that form or that form control is identified in a scripting language. The name attribute is a user defined value. We define or we give a name to every input element. If the name attribute is not specified, the data of that input field will not be submitted. Max length. The attribute is used only with text and password type to specify the maximum length of the text or data to be typed in that text box or a password box. Size. The size attribute can be used with text and password type. Only with text and password type. It specifies the width of the text box. The text box width can be understood or can be given with the help of size attribute. Checked. Checked attribute specifies the default selection for the options in a checkbox or the radio button. It is to be given only in case of checkbox or radio button. To specify the default selection, before the form starts, a particular option is to be selected. Value. value attribute can be used with text, checkbox, radio, submit or reset. That means almost with all the form controls. When used with type text, it specifies the default value in a text box. If it is used for checkbox and radio, it defines value which is to be sent or submitted, because radio and checkbox are to be selected. Okay, hence the value what is to be submitted we have to specify using the value attribute for checkbox and radio button. Next form element is text area. The text area is used to create a text box with multiple lines. That means if you want to type an address, then a single line text box will not do. You need to have a multiple line text box. So to create a multiple line text box, you should have a text area form element. The number of lines and width of the text box are specified by using rows and columns attribute respectively. The text area can have the following attributes. They are name. As I said, name should be an attribute for all the form controls. Rows and calls. Rows specify how many number of rows, how many number of lines should that multi-line text box should be. Columns, it specifies the width, number of characters in a text box. Max length, it specifies the maximum number of characters allowed in the text area. Placeholder and required, it specifies the short hint that describes the expected value in a text area. We do it with the help of placeholder. Already something is written, when you click onto it, automatically it goes. That is placeholder. And required, it specifies the text area must be filled out. It cannot be kept blank. That means you cannot keep it blank and submit it. Something should be typed into it, and only if you type something into it, then only it will be submitted. Syntax, how do we write? Text area name, we give some name, rows calls, placeholder and required, and just close the text area. What will happen is this your address will be by default written into the text area. When you click onto it, this your address will go, and user will be allowed to type something into the text area. Select tag. Select tag is used to create a drop down list or a list box. Drop down list, when you click, a list appears. The attributes of the select tag are name, multiple and size. Name, as I already said, should be given to all the form controls. Multiple, it allows the user to select more than one value. To select more than one value. And size attribute is used to specify the number of visible values. When you say size equals 5, it becomes a list box. When you say size equal 1, it becomes drop down list box. And the options in that select a tag or a list box is specified with the help of option tag. The option tag inside the select tag defines the available options into the list. Here there are two attributes, selected and value. Selected defines a pre-selected option. Out of 5, you want third option to be by default selected, you can do that. And after selecting a particular option, what value is to be submitted, we give it with the help of value attribute of option tag. Now let us see all the form controls in Notepad and web browser. I've started my Notepad and already some basic tags are typed into it. To start with a tag, we need to have a form tag. Here I type form name equals, I give form name as F1, action equals URL to be specified where the form is to be submitted. I give a name of the same file name. And method, how the data is to be submitted to the URL specified into the action attribute. Here I write it as an method equals post. I close the form tag. This will not have any effect onto an output. Let me save this file. I go on to the web browser. I reload it. There's no effect. Now let us start with the form controls. First form control, let us see as an input type equals text. I type over here input type equals text. Name equals T1. In front of it, I just type name. Enter your name. And hint what should be contained into the text box. I save this. I reload, enter your name and a text box whereby I'll be allowed to type my name. Let me restrict the text box to certain number of characters. This we do with max length. Max length equals, I restrict it to 5 characters, let's say. I save it. I see the output. I refresh. If I type K, I'm not, even if I'm typing now, I'm not able to type from a keyboard. So I've restricted it to few characters. Another attribute is size. Size equals some number, means the width of the text box will be increased or decreased depending upon the value of the size you specify here. I have written over here size equals 8. I save it. I go to the web browser. I refresh it. See, the size is reduced. I type, it will be 5 characters because max length is 5. Now when I type over here, I can see the number, I can see what I'm typing. If input type was password, I save it. I see the output. I reload it. When I type into it, I see the disk mark. I cannot see the content what I'm typing. That is the difference between a text box and a password. Now let us see radio button and checkbox. I change the hint over here. I type BR so that radio button can be displayed onto the next line. I type input type equals radio, name equals R1. I remove all this. I give a value attribute as M for male. This is to be displayed, and this value equal M will be sent to the web server. I copy it. Make a note if for a group of the radio buttons from which you want a single choice to be selected, name should be same. Here I have given R1, here also I should give R1. In value I change the value, and here I type it as female. I want a radio button to be displayed into the new line. I write BR. I save this. Let us see the output. I refresh. You see gender male female, from which I will be able to select any one. If the name was different, like here it is R1, here it is R2, I save it. Let's see. I can select this as well as this, which is improper. If I want any one choice to be selected, I have to give the same name to a group of the radio buttons. Now let us see the checkbox. Input type equals checkbox. Instead of gender, I write hobbies as the choice, and for checkbox, names should be different. I write C1 as a checkbox 1, I write C2 as in checkbox 2. Value I write as indoor game and outdoor games. And hint to be displayed is also same, indoor games and outdoor games. I save this, see the output, I refresh. See, now here zero selection, both selection, or one selection. From a checkbox, from options, you can have a zero selection, one selection, or more than one selection, or all selections. That is checkbox. Now let us see drop down list box. For drop down list box, I write the hobbies here. Let me give the hint as same. Instead of input, there will be a select tag. Select name equals S1. For select, I write multiple so that it allows me to select more than one option. I close select. Within select tag, I should have an option tag. I write is an indoor the number of options you want, those many option tags you have to write. Now let me have some 4 options: indoor, outdoor, then board, computer games. Here I have written multiple, and size I write it as 4 because I have 4 options. When I write size equals 4, see the output looks like this, and I'll be able to select more than one with the help of control key. I click on one first option or second option or third option, with the help of control key I can select more than one option. That is the use of multiple. Now this is the list box. If I make size equals 1, that means only one option I will be able to select. uh, One option, that means only one option I'll be able to see, and multiple will have no meaning over here. Let us see the output. Only one option to be seen. When I click on this arrow, all the options will be made available for me for selection. I select board game, I select computer game, I select outdoor game. So if size is 1, it is a drop down list box. If size is more than 1, it is a list box. Now let me write option value equal outdoor selected. Selected means by default outdoor game will be selected. I save it. Let us see the output. Refresh. See, by default an outdoor game is selected. Even though indoor game is there, I reload it, automatically it becomes outdoor game, because outdoor game I have written here as an selected. Multiple is to be written only if size is more than 1. Next, let us have a look at buttons. Add a BR tag, input type equals submit, name equals, I write CS1, value to be displayed on a submit button. I click on, so I write submit itself. I add BR tag, so the next button will be displayed on the new line. Next button I write it as an reset, and third button I write it as an button. I change the name, I write reset to 1, I said button 1. Value over here I write it as an reset, or the whatever value you want to write, you can write in a value. And over here I just write click me, which will have no meaning. I save it, see the output, I restore. Now these are the buttons. Let me have a one more BR so that it does not look very close. These are 3 buttons. Submit will submit the form. Reset, see over here I have clicked on board games. Now what was the default value? Default value is outdoor, and I have changed it to board games. When I click on reset, the form will be resetted. Reset means the original value will come over here. I click on reset, you see the outdoor game come over here. I change something, I click on reset for resetting to the original one. Click me has no meaning. When you learn the scripting language, you can add a script that means what that button should be doing. Submit button, when I click, the data will be submitted to the specified URL into the action attribute of form tag. That also we'll be learning when we do the scripting language. Now let us understand the text area. Text area add necessary BRs so that it displays into a new line. address, text area, I give a name as TA1, text area 1. Value, I don't give anything. I just give number of rows to be displayed. Number of rows I want 5. Let me write it 5. And simply I close text area. I save this. Let me see the output. I refresh. You see a text box of 5 lines. That doesn't mean I cannot type 6 line. I can type as many as lines, but at a time it will display 5 lines. When your lines increases, you see there's a scroll bar. This is how the form and form elements are to be given onto the web browser using HTML. Thank you, and that is all for today's session, and we have completed a chapter, Impressive Web Designing HTML part. In our next session, we'll be looking at Impressive Web Designing JavaScript. Thank you. Jai Hind, Jai Maharashtra. If you like this video, please subscribe to my channel and also click onto the bell icon so that you get the notification for any new videos what I post into this channel. Thank you.